durianASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene and you're listening to durianASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. Of course, in our very early morning, we will bring you news from this region. And first off, news about what is happening right now on the mass graves in police. Apparently, Wang Kelian, human trafficking camps was run by this guy called Yassin. Rohingya from Myanmar known as Yassin is believed to be the man agent behind the human trafficking camps uncovered by Malaysian authorities in Wang Kelian Perlis. Based on information received, he's the agent responsible for buying Rohingyas and Bangladeshi from a syndicate in southern Thai at a fixed price and keeping them temporarily at transit camps in Wang Kelian before selling them to other parties. Yassin is a big agent of the human trafficking syndicate, and his name is known among many Rohingyas who are in Malaysia and were his victim. This was expressed by Yusuf, who has been living in Malaysia for 20 years. Because he lives and operates in southern Thai, Yassin has close ties with other syndicate leaders who are either Thai citizens or Myanmar nationals from the Rakhine community. It seems like what is happening right now in Wang Kelian is definitely an interconnected transnational network where a few people from different countries are involved in the trading of human beings. And also, the Kedah Rohingya Malaysia Society Deputy Chairman Yusuf Ali told that Yassin is in his 30s, live in southern Thai, and might have slipped back to Myanmar after his activities were exposed. Because Yassin would have hold people he has just bought about after his arrival in southern Thai in a specific location such as transit camp in the jungle of Wang Kelian before distributing them to smaller agents. And the smaller agents would transport these new arrivals to various parts of Malaysia. He also disclosed that the transit camps in Wang Kelian had been operating for 2 to 3 years, so this is not something new. His comment was supported by Muhammad Hussein Abdul Hassan, an active RSM member. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Khalid Abu Bakar had announced the discovery of 139 graves and 28 transit camps, which were abandoned by the syndicate in Wang Kelian near the Malaysia-Thai border. The police forensic team has discovered 3 decomposed bodies from the graves in the transit camps and added that Wang Kelian location surrounded by thick jungle, steep limestone hills close to the Thai border made it a favorite route of the human trafficking syndicates. On the other hand, talking about crimes, prostitution might be a crime in Malaysia, might be a crime in majority of the countries in Southeast Asia, although there's a huge black market for it. But for a state in Indonesia, they are considering to make it legalized. And I'm talking about Jakarta, apparently controlling prostitution activities by allowing prostitution. This is the proposal which was made by the Jakarta Special Capital Region provincial government. Prostitution activities may be permitted in several areas in Jakarta in an effort to control illegal prostitutions in rented rooms and apartments. The idea to legalize prostitution and create registered sex industry workers was raised by Jakarta Governor Basuki Tjahajapurnama, or better known as Ahok, due to numerous untowed incidents taking place, including criminal activities. In addition, allowing prostitutions in specific places was said to enable a check on activities to offer sex by underage girls. The idea to legalize prostitution was only a plan to solicit the reactions of numerous quarters, and the governor would take into account the views of all before implementing it. Prostitution in Jakarta is said to be illegally conducted in rented rooms and also luxury apartments, and clients could get information on it online and in social media. For example, recently, a 26-year-old woman who was believed to be offering sex service via internet social media site was found dead in her rented room and was believed to have been killed by her customer. The authorities had also unearthed prostitution activities involving underage girls via website after raiding a luxury apartment and rescuing 10 teenagers, including one who was pregnant, being made prostitutes for the upper class. For me personally, I think prostitution is definitely one of the area of industry that often people do not want to talk about it. But for Jakarta, I think it's a one step forward for Ahok to propose in regulating it, especially when prostitution is such a huge black market, and either you ban it or you regulate it, and by banning it, you're just making it more and more underground, and more underground means that more people are making money illegally out of it, and black markets will be the one championing the prostitution industry. But if governments regulate it, at least the rights of these sex workers will be protected in some way or another. And the fact that the government could understand what it entails when it comes to prostitution itself. And we will take one short break. When we return, we will talk more about what is happening in South China Sea, especially China is being sent warning by two of the countries in Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hi, this is Arlene. You're back again with me on the ASEAN Daily. Of course, we bring you news from this region, and to start our second segment of today, we bring you news on the South China Sea. We have been discussing and sharing with you on what's happening there in South China Sea. Of course, China has made its claim clear that it will only solve this on a bilateral level and not multilateral. While on the other hand, for Philippines and Vietnam, they have sent warning to China with friendly football match in the South China Sea. Oh, that is I didn't expect that to happen in the first place. So soldiers from the Philippines and Vietnam sent a warning to China about its aggression in the South China Sea in an unusual manner, a game of football. We just discussed about FIFA yesterday, and now we are talking about football again. According to Reuters reports that the friendly match took place in Northeast K in the Spratly Island formation, which is being contested by the Philippines, Vietnam, China, Malaysia, Taiwan, Singapore, and Brunei. In addition to football, the troops sang karaoke together. In addition to display of allegiance like the football matches and karaoke, the two countries also have taken concrete steps to strengthen the relationship between both navies by establishing a direct line of communication between them. In addition, again, to strengthening ties with Vietnam, the Philippines is also getting closer, guess what, with Malaysia and Japan. So I guess when it comes to the South China Sea, the only way forward is not through military might, but it's through football. And what we are seeing right now is, I think, countries getting more innovative and more creative in a way that they want to solve the problem. Malaysia Prime Minister Najib Razak was recently in the Philippines, and both countries agree to form a strategic partnership. Also, Malaysian Prime Minister, while President Benigno is set to travel to Tokyo for security talks with Japanese Minister Shinzo Abe. The visit will take place next week. What we are seeing right now is it's not. I think it's a way for Southeast Asia to tell China that for example, the Philippines has formerly been at odds with Vietnam over control of Spratleys. Now that China has built artificial islands on the archipelago, threatening both nations' claim, in fact, the two countries have begun a rapprochement. Vietnam is also building its own island in the contested territory, but not at the scale or speed of the Chinese. But if you look at the longer the bigger picture here, the longer vision here, the island where the match was held is currently occupied by 100 Philippine troops. They were joined by 16 Vietnamese sailors who were brought to the island by a Vietnamese naval vessel. It's a way to show to China that we are here to stay. We are not bulging off. You can put your military might on the against us, but we are not going to use that form of harsh treatment towards anyone. I guess in a way it's trying to tell China that Southeast Asia or the Philippines and Vietnam do not want war, and they do not want to be at odds with China, but they want friendly cooperation, and they want China to understand the position of Southeast Asia, especially the Philippines and Vietnam, in regards to the South China Sea. On the other hand, we are talking about China. So the Belt and Road Initiative, which an initiative that China is looking to invest at $900 billion is part of the connectivity in the region of Asia Pacific, and especially in the region of Southeast Asia. China has announced plans to boost the Belt and Road trade by creating economic corridors and investing nearly $900 billion in countries along the route. The Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli said that the country is mulling 6 economic corridors with countries along the Belt and Road trade route to better connect Asia and Europe with funding from the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, or AIIB, and the Silk Road Fund. Corridors are set to run through China, Mongolia, Russia, New Eurasian Land Bridge, China, Central and West Asia, Indochina Peninsula, China, Brazil, and Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar. So there are a few corridors that China is looking at. And China proposed Belt and Road Initiative on trade and infrastructure networks have been welcomed across Asia and Europe. According to Zhang, its success and in the interest of all sides. And meanwhile, the China Development Bank, one of the country's policy banks, said that it will invest more than $890 billion into more than 900 projects involving 60 countries as part of its efforts to bolster the initiative, the 21st Century Business Herald reported on Thursday. So it seems like the Chinese is definitely confident, and not just confident, they are in their serious business mode when it comes to world domination or economic domination. But with the building of this Silk Road Initiative, it somehow solidified the Chinese presence around the world, especially the Chinese is focusing in areas that Europe and the US have failed to give, I guess, concrete focus on it. For example, the Central Asia involving Mongolia, Russia, and the Eurasian Land Bridge, China, Central Asia, and West Asia. These are areas that are perhaps neglected by the US superpower. And not to forget the Indochina Peninsula and China, Brazil, and Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar. It shows that the Chinese are forming partnership with key partners that probably 10 to 20 years ago weren't as powerful as they are now. You look at Brazil, for example, and India. They are emerging economies, and they are economies that we need to reckon with in the future. And I think China is pushing itself 10 steps ahead to form long-term partnership with this. At the same time, I think the West have somehow slowed down, and perhaps with the financial crisis in 2008, they have somehow slow in grabbing this opportunity to strengthen their relationship across the region of Asia Pacific, Central Asia, and even Latin America. Anyway, we'll take another one short break. When we return, we will continue talking about migration and other form of partnership that is happening within the region of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, you are back again with me, Arlene, and I will be bringing you news from Southeast Asia, and of course, not just economic news, but also news regarding on the community of Southeast Asia. And right now, issue regarding on migration is the probably hardcore issue that ASEAN needs to address, and it's also a key issue and challenge facing ASEAN on Friday for the migrant conference. International human rights groups have urged the countries within Southeast Asia to prioritize and address the most urgent problems. The Human Rights Watch called on Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia to find a better coordinated method on saving people that are still stranded at sea. There are reactions from every country referred to the link, because it seems like each country has their own position on this arrival on the overcrowded boats. These migrant workers economic migrants as well as political refugees crammed with a lot of other people including Rohingya Muslim fleeing persecution in Myanmar and impoverished Bangladesh hoping to find jobs, have now slowed. But the crisis is far from over. These human traffickers could be just, hiding in the dark, waiting for the issue to slow down, and then they might resume it business as usual when the authorities felt that it's an issue that has been settled or is under their hand. But will the topic of a Friday conference in Bangkok to be attended by officials from across the Asia Pacific and beyond be able to address this crisis for once and for all? Thailand has invited representatives from 17 countries directly and indirectly affected by irregular migration in the Indian Ocean. They are Australia, Bangladesh, Cambodia, India, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Vietnam, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran. Representatives from the United States, Japan, and Switzerland will participate as observers, along with officials from international organizations, including the UN Refugee Agency, the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, and the International Organization for Migration. Most countries have made clear that they are not keen to take in Rohingya or the Bangladeshi migrants, fearing that accepting a few will invite many more, especially that is the position that Malaysian government has taken. But to some extent, it's also a position that is dangerous because then the black market or the illegal market will just explode. On the other hand, special ASEAN body for refugee affairs is strongly needed within this particular regional organization. ASEAN needs to set up a special body for refugees to anticipate cases like the Rohingya boat people in the region. This is being expressed by an expert on the Southeast Asia region. The ASEAN economic community should concern not only economic issue but also political, cultural, and social aspects, because it's kind of interconnected if you look at it in a way. This was said by Makarim Wibosono, an international law professor at Airlangga University in Surabaya, East Java. Makarim made the statement at a public debate entitled Rohingya Refugees and ASEAN Response in Surabaya. He said that the Rohingya asylum seekers problem was a humanitarian affair. This is in line with the second principle of our state ideology, Pancasila, he said. Therefore, we must seek to create an ASEAN community concerned not only about economic relations but also social relations and unity. This is the type of unity that we should show to the world. This is what Makarim Wibisono expressed and quoted by the Antara news agency, and I couldn't agree more. On the other hand, European Union proposed to scale up its partnership with ASEAN. The joint communication puts forward concrete ideas for taking EU-ASEAN relations to the next level by providing a more coherent framework for sectorial cooperation and by ensuring a sharper political focus. The partnership between EU and ASEAN is crucial, and they determine to build on it and strengthen their political and economic cooperation with Southeast Asia, from trade to security. I guess it would include migration as well. From climate change to the rule of law, they have a deep cooperation, and as EU, they are going to support ASEAN integration. Deepening and broadening the relationship with ASEAN is the key to EU-Asia strategy. The EU is a major development partner of ASEAN and the biggest donor to the ASEAN Secretariat. In the current budget cycle, 2014 to 2020, the EU will support the ASEAN integration and the Secretariat with 170 million euro. EU is an active partner member of the ASEAN Regional Forum, and it is stepping up its engagement of non-traditional security. The EU and ASEAN work together to enhance crisis response and disaster management. The EU supports the ASEAN Center for Humanitarian Assistance. On the other hand, economic competitiveness under Aquino is definitely something that the Philippines want to look very, very seriously. The Philippines has effectively arrested its historical decade-long decline. Now that it is the time for greater ambition as well as policies and investment to bring the Philippines to the next level. AIM Policy Center, in partnership with the International Institute for Management Development, is releasing the 2015 World Competitiveness Yearbook ranking, or short for WCY. The WCY uses broad factors in ranking the competitiveness of countries' economic efficiency, government efficiency, business efficiency, and infrastructure. In 2015, the Philippines is ranked 41 among 61 countries, a one-notch improvement from 2014. It is critical to examine the country's competitiveness improvements over time. It is clear from this that the country has improved dramatically, even as it still has wide room for progress in competitiveness reforms. Rankings from these two reports show that there was indeed an improvement in the Philippine competitiveness in the medium term. For FDI, for example, foreign direct investment, of course, appeared to be turning for the better. The Philippines posted a 66% increase in the net foreign direct investment inflows in 2014 after a relatively slowed 16% growth 2 years ago. The debt to GDP ratio of the country now stands at around 45%, the lowest in 2 decades. This is also way below the 74% posted 10 years ago, when analysts warn of an impending debt crisis if the status quo was maintained. So economically, Philippines is waking up. It needs to be competitive, especially with the formation of AEC. It can no longer afford to be a nation that rely on the traditional economy. On the other hand, in Thailand, the Thai protest leaders, including Yellow Shirt founder, handed prison terms for 2008 rally. A Thai court has sentenced 6 anti-government protest leaders to 2 years in jail for storming the Prime Minister's office during a 2008 rally. Thousands of Yellow Shirt protesters from the Royalist People's Alliance for Democracy held protests in 2006 that helped undermine then Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. The group brought much of Bangkok to a standstill in 2008 when protesters blockaded key government offices and the city's airport in an eventually successful bid to remove Thaksin ally Somchan Wongsuwat from the office of Prime Minister. The court finds the going in government house impacted the freedom of others and was not a peaceful protest according to the constitution. This is being said by one of the criminal court judge. On the other hand, Yellow Shirt founder Sonti Limthongkul was among the 6 given 3 years jail sentences reduced to 2 years. A lawyer for the group said that they were released on bail pending an appeal but were banned from traveling overseas. The protests culminated in a coup by the army last May. The leaders of the latest protests are yet to face legal action. So what do you think about this? Do you think that it's fair for the Yellow Shirt protesters to be tried in court for a protest that they are rightfully should do based on what they think is right for the country? And do you think that for the Thai people, they will continue to be under the junta rule, or do you think that they should protest against this particular court rule on the Yellow Shirt protesters? Or whatever it is, I think one thing that is lacking in Thailand right now that is in need deeply is definitely a strong democracy, and it cut across the whole region of Southeast Asia. This is Arlene signing off from durianASEAN. You can always follow us on our social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And of course, you can listen to our podcast on YouTube. And for all of you on the go, you can tune into your TuneIn app and listen to us at durianASEAN, or you can be on your desktop and log on to durianASEAN.com for more information about Southeast Asia.